Great. So we'll get this Zoom in with Daniel Reboot started. So it's great to see you guys and to have this opportunity to meet with you live again. I do plan to quickly talk about some lab testing, which we've partnered with Direct Labs and are now able to provide the lab tests that you can do in your own home. Some of them do require some blood work, but most of them are going to be samples that you can collect at home. So, all right. Anyway, so the reason that we recommend testing is because health experts know that there's a lot of different reasons why people may have issues before they do the detox. And I'm not just talking like a heavy metals test to see what your body's dealing with, but just know that mold and heavy metals and other things like nutrient deficiencies and methylation issues can really affect the results of a detox. So it's helpful to really have a good baseline to understand how your body is working, especially because it helps us to tailor your detoxification program if you're working with me as a remote detox coach. So the limits of pre and post detox testing I talked about at length ad nauseum, with the fact that they don't really measure the body burden accurately. Most public tests only just measure what the body's dealing with or eliminating. So it's not going to be a body burden. And in fact, what happens is that if somebody tests pre and post detox using something like a urine test or a stool test, they'll get their initial setting, and then when they finish a detox, if they do a test too soon after, I'm talking within 30 days or more. I mean, literally, it can take 4 to 6 months before the levels actually show a more accurate body elimination. But the reason is because we've mobilized so many toxins through this program that the body is still going to be dealing with stuff for a while afterwards. And this is why I even recommend people wait 2 weeks before they actually do another program. They need to really let their body return to homeostasis and get some of this stuff settled down. So in order for us to do studies throughout the 36 years we were working with the original method in the clinical setting, the only way we could do any kind of comparisons of pre and post detox was using fat biopsies. So fat biopsies would literally be things like a 6-inch biopsy needle shoved into the rumps of the patients pre and post detox, and we would compare the values of pre and post detox, like for PCBs or other things that we were actually there to work with, because we had to know exactly what we were trying to detox in order for these results to actually be cost effective, because they were very, very expensive and we had to send them off to the university labs. There are no labs that I know of that are available to the public that can do fat biopsy pre and post detox, especially not at an affordable level. So now, we definitely want to make sure that we're monitoring the symptoms and to show a subjective improvement when you've done the detox. So when you're working with me as a remote detox coach, I have a symptom survey that you do pre-detox and then again 30 days post-detox. And this is about the best way we can get a subjective view of your results and to make sure that the program is doing what we have created it for. So. Now, like I said, I've partnered with Direct Labs in order to provide testing, and these are some of the categories that we've identified. And I have a portal with the Direct Labs that I'll show you in just a second, both in a screenshot, and then if you want, we can go to the website and I'll point out some highlights. But so I also developed a lab test quiz. And this is basically going to help you to identify which labs are going to be the most effective and most relevant to you. Okay. And then it also, because there's so many tests, I mean, I think I calculated there was well over 1,100 tests available at Direct Labs. I went through with a fine-tooth comb and determined which lab tests would be the most appropriate for our audience, as well as created this quiz so that you can actually go through with your symptoms and identify which ones are going to be most relevant. So, and this is what I was just talking about. So we connect the symptoms to the appropriate test categories, and then from there, individual lab tests are displayed so you can see what it is that you should be looking into if you are interested in getting those tests done. So this is our link, and it will be in the description of the video, but since we're live here, if you want to, you can write this down. It's also in the resources menu of our website. So this is the lab quiz that I've created, and it's just a screenshot. I've got it loaded if we want to go and take a look at what kind of questions there are. But just know that you can get to it on our website at getdetoxinated.com under the resources tab. So the detox coaching does include the actual interpretation, but based on a detox framework, not a clinical, like to help you diagnose it or diagnose any kind of conditions or anything like that. But we can use that data to tailor your program. So like I said, it helps you to personalize the niacin dose binder choices, which is very important because binders, as in zeolite, bentonite clay, activated charcoal, and Tross gel, these are all things that have special affinities. And so these toxins that they have affinities for are going to be related back to these lab tests, although I instinctively know based on lots of experience which binders to recommend. But anyway, so this just helps us to tailor your program better. So it makes it the detox safer, more efficient, and more symptom aware. So how to order the tests? Well, basically they're in our portal, like I mentioned earlier, and basically you pick the ones that you feel like you really need. Some of these tests can be rather expensive, but the tests are sent to you directly. And if you let them know that you're okay with the HIPAA compliance, then they will send me the lab tests as well. Otherwise, you're welcome to do that as well. So here's the link to directlabs.com/getdetoxinated. That's my portal. It's also an affiliate link, so that I'm being full disclosure here. And when you get to their page, there's a lot of data here. What's more important is you select the popular test categories that's circled here in blue, and then that'll bring you to the 2 pages of different tests that I've specifically picked out for our audience in the detox world. So. All right, so that was the presentation. Does anybody want to actually see these websites up close and personal?
Excuse me, Daniel, I'd like to say those tests are not available in New Zealand. I
believe actually they do have foreign shipping, but those are going to need to be discussed directly with them. It's a very valid point, though, because I believe there are some countries where there could be issues with getting some of these tests. So okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Direct Labs quiz so you can see. So essentially under the resources tab, you can see the lab tests down there, and this brings up the page. And essentially the first part is just introductory, but there's different sections, and as you check things off, they will, like gadolinium, for example, this will tell you which recommended tests. And by the way, when you submit this, you'll get an email with all of the recommended tests that the quiz presented. So as you go through things, you can basically say you've got food sensitivities or skin issues and things like that, and it'll come up with tests that it recommends based on these choices. So basically, there's all of these different categories that I've identified for you, and then once you submit it, after providing your name and email address, then you will get those results submitted by email. So, and then the actual website, I showed you the screenshot of it, but basically this is what it looks like. And right here, this test page is what you want to click, and that'll take you to our featured tests. So there's 2 pages of those tests. And basically, that is really all I wanted to talk about today. It was your ability to select the lab test based on the quiz and choose the ones that are more appropriate to you. I hope that really does help you. There are heavy metal tests in there that I do think are very valid, but again, don't expect those to show a pre and post body burden reduction. So, all right, with that, let's go ahead and stop the screen share and let's talk. Anybody want to start with questions? You're going to have to unmute and go ahead, Jamie.
Hi, I was going through my hundreds of emails this morning. I'm like, oh, why did I get that invitation? I'm just going to go because I joined your group and I've been on looking on your website, trying to sort things out for myself.
Wonderful.
So are any questions appropriate? Like I'm just sort of here last minute random.
Absolutely.
All right. So I am very heat intolerant, and it's not during. I was on a medication for many years that was an anticholinergic, and I couldn't have heat because of heat stroke. contraindication. So
Mhm.
now I'm trying to acclimate to heat, and it's been really rough. It's not the heat when I'm in it. It's the middle of the night I start to burn. It's
Okay.
really awful. So how would somebody in my case be able to, like if you got that going on, like I have a sauna, I don't use it. I have a sunlight and solar pad, but then I read about the Therasage and to get that. So I think I'm selling that. I've only used it once or twice.
Okay.
Um, how does one go about that? Do you have any, yeah.
Low and slow is the big answer. However, a couple things to be aware of. Now, the medication you're no longer on, right? So you're not dealing with
Thank
that.
God. Yeah, it was medically necessary, and I was able to work out on newer technologies with my physician. Yeah.
Okay. The good news is that the far infrared sauna, like the Therasage or the Sunlighten, are going to be less heat, or that you need less heat with those because it's not really about heat in an infrared sauna. The dry saunas, of course, require convection and conduction. So they heat the air first, then that warms the body. And those typically do run around 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, or 220, I've even seen in some places. And that can be very, very intolerable for somebody like you. But with an infrared sauna, the good news is that you can actually open the zipper on like the Therasage or open the door of a regular sauna, an infrared sauna, I'm referring here. But that will allow cold air to come in and cool you down, and then also force those emitters, which are what the heaters are really called, to turn on. And that is what's more important with the infrared saunas is to have the emitters on. But you're always welcome to give yourself a cold blast of air because it does help to cool you down and force those emitters to turn back on. Now, definitely go low and slow. Temperature is not important. I would run somewhere around maybe 115 to 120 degrees to start with and slowly build up time. But once you're able to do that, the next step would be to introduce niacin as a niacin flush sauna detox. This is something, since you're very new to what we're doing here, we have two forms of detox that use niacin and sauna. One is a more gentler, flexible version, which was designed for firefighters. And it's basically taking niacin and getting a flush and jumping into a sauna during the flush, or maybe within 30 minutes of it subsiding if you forget to preheat your sauna. But the second version is the more intense one. And it's actually about 3 times more powerful than the niacin flush version, because the niacin flush version is only going to deal with what's already in blood. So you always have toxins that are being liberated through the fat or from the fat through a process called lipolysis. And that's when ATP or energy production is happening. And so the long story can be shortened by a video I produced, or several videos I produced on this part of it. But just be aware that anytime your body's producing energy, you're liberating some of the fat stored toxins back into circulation. So when you have a niacin flush, it's going to push those toxins out to the skin regions. Let me ask you though, have you ever had a flushing form of niacin?
You just answered a question. I don't want to monopolize here, so I'm going to make it real quick. But I'm working with I have multiple physicians for my multiple health problems.
Okay.
But I turned back to my old functional medicine doctor who decided it was going to be a good idea to give me NAD sub-Q. I'm still recovering, and it's a couple months later. It was just a couple of injections once, and then a week later, about 30 hours later, I was on fire in the middle of the night. And I have now become reactive to sun, where now I'm on fire in the middle of the night. So that's my experience with that. I don't know why I was so sensitive.
Right.
So yes, I do. But regular niacin as part of my protocols, I've never had a problem with.
Okay, good.
She gave me the sub-Q. It was
Right.
bad.
Yeah, that's not how we would want you to do any of the niacin type of programs. But the niacin flush is something that is not very predictable. So it is kind of difficult to work with the niacin flush sauna detox if your body isn't actually flushing in a predictable manner, but it's still doable. And the full detoxification program uses a secondary effect, which is, like I said, detailed in a different video. But the way it works is it literally liberates toxins at 3 times normal levels. And so when you use our protocol, you're getting the toxins to excrete through the sweat, which is actually more sebaceous sweat, also described in that video. And then the binders that we use pick up the toxins that are in the GI tract as well as in blood circulation. So it's a much more intense and very precise method, but the niacin flesh sauna detox would be something that I think that you could implement and get started with after you get yourself acclimated to being in that sauna for a longer period of time.
Thank you for answering that. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Anybody else want to chime in? Just unmute.
Hi, how
Hey.
are you? Yeah,
I'm great.
I know about you from the gadolinium group. So
Okay.
I would like to, and I read a little bit of your story and some of your videos. So I've been on poison with ciprofloxacin for 7 months, and then for 3 months ago, I did a MRI contrast with, and my symptoms came back like 100%, like they were before, right? So is this niacin protocol, is it still a good time to start after like almost 7 months of being on ciprofloxacin and now being on gadolinium? And so I'm kind of afraid to take things or do things and make more harm. So I would like to know first, what would be side effects if I do this? How, I don't know if I came late or my time was wrong, but I thought it started at 3 p.m. So I lost the lab test. So a lot of people say don't do the niacin sauna, infrared, and niacin if you don't know how to do it, or if you're not ready, or there's, you know, I'm just afraid to take anything and not be guided. And how effective would this be in my case with Cipro and Gadolin that I'm
Absolutely.
trying to
So
get rid of?
I've worked with a lot of people who've had both gadolinium and the Cipro, and it's a very tailored approach that we're going to take, and it's going to be low and slow because of the fact that there's a lot of mitochondrial dysfunction that's happened. There's going to be a lot of different things that we need to make sure that we tailor the program for making sure that inflammation and things don't get so out of hand. There will be some symptoms. Absolutely. You're going to have some detox symptoms, but the better thing is to get these toxins out of the body. Gadolinium is one that we've had tremendous success with. And I've been really, really pleased with the results we're getting when people do follow the program with my guidance, because I have been working with a lot of people who've had these poisons, and I know how they affect the body. So I would love to talk with you offline from this call if you want to schedule a consultation with me. I do offer a complimentary consultation, which you can always schedule at heal.me/detox, which will be also in the description of the video once I post it. So that's way anybody can schedule a complimentary consultation with me, because there's many different types of conditions that do need special tailoring of the program. And so if you were to buy the book and just try to follow the protocol from the book, you would get yourself into trouble with it. Absolutely. So the warnings you were receiving were valid, but just know that we know how to make it work for you.
Yeah, I'm going to do that complimentary because my symptoms are burning, numb in my left side. I don't know what that has to do. Left side of my body, like feet, the one foot, and my hand, and the burning sensations sometimes travels all over. It's not getting better, so I'm looking for options. I thought, okay, time will, my body will react, and time, this can be so bad, but I'm kind of lost now, since I don't know which is causing it more, the Cipro or the gadolinium, you know, and then I don't know how to do that. So
yeah, they are compounding. They are compounding the problem. You know, there's other toxins your body has as well that you're probably not even thinking about. But just know that I've successfully worked with people with Cipro and gadolinium toxicity.
Okay, so just to not make it long and give the other chances for questions. So I sign up for infrared sauna in a place that they have the infrared sauna. So should I stopped. I did once and I felt itchy, and then I felt my forehead very sensible and I had a little bump and said, something is wrong. I need to like research first. And that's how I came to you, to know you. So should I stop? Should I continue?
Well,
Is it
definitely
more
listen.
harm that I can-
Yeah, definitely listen to your body. And it also is going to be important for you to adjust whatever temperature they set them to, because these places that have infrared saunas, they tend to set them at a rather high amount, like 155 is what I've seen on average Fahrenheit. And literally 115 to 120 is where I'd prefer to see you start with this at maybe 10 to 15 minutes in the beginning. Stay very hydrated. I would certainly be doing electrolytes and maybe even zeolite. So just to kind of talk a little bit more about zeolite, with gadolinium toxicity, zeolite is the best binder for for gadolinium.
Okay, so I can go and still do it, but like slowly until I get more research and information from you. So, all right, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward for that.
Thank you for the questions, and I look forward to talking with you offline. Okay, anybody else want to chime in? We got to go through.
I'll chime in with one. With the lab discussion we're having, for those of us that are in the middle of multiple protocols, I've run 3, the last 2 with you. Does that make it less of an interesting thing? I mean, you're not gonna. I've already made improvements. You know what I mean? So, just if some symptoms stand out, you'll still get lab tests specific for those symptoms. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's a good question, Greg. I'll tell you what, at this point in time, it probably would not be a good idea to especially do any kind of heavy metal like urine or stool tests, because they'll probably freak you out with the massive liberation that we've done with the protocol. But just be aware that the testing that's up here is really something that I would say should be done before you actually embark on these programs. So it's probably not even worth your time or money to do them.
Well, what I can say to kind of help some people in the group that are considering doing it is, we've all been through this path of chronic illness and they run a bunch of labs. And before I started this program, it was last summer, I had some labs. And I can tell you that my ferritin level, when I was at my worst a few years ago, was almost 400. And it had come down about 180 or so and hung there for the last couple of years. I did this program over the last year. I just did testing. It's under 100.
Yeah.
My free testosterone was in the toilet. It's now tripled after doing this program 3 times.
Yeah, I've seen testosterone levels definitely increase with this program. And in fact, considering the fact that many of the toxins that we're accumulating in this day and age are either xenoestrogens, or they are endocrine disruptors, or they have some kind of hormonal effect to imbalance the body. And so once you detox the system, the body is able to actually improve either estrogen in women and testosterone in men. And it's been remarkable.
Interesting enough, my total testosterone did not change, but it wasn't really bad to start with. But my free testosterone was just bound up completely. No one knew why. That's what really improved. And also the tryptase came down in normal range from some mast cell, issues. So I'm seeing improvement. My glucose levels did not improve, which was, I think, odd, but I got more to go. So I can tell everyone it's helped me. I scientifically have lab evidence. So yeah, consider it. So I'll let somebody else take it.
Okay. Yep. All right. Anybody else want to unmute? And
I do. Hi, Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how your study has gone. You've been working on a study of work going from 30 days straight to like 7 days a week to 5 and 2 days off. Do you have results from that yet?
The people who have who've been doing the program aren't completed yet with even their first ones. So and then we have to wait 30 days after that to get the secondary symptom survey done. So and frankly, the amount of people who are on that study right now is not what I would consider to be a good cohort. So I thank you for bringing this up, because I'm still registering people. It's not like there's a specific timeline. for getting people on this study. Let me explain this to the rest of the group here and to whoever's watching the video. What we're doing is we're comparing a cohort of the 30-day program versus people who are doing what we're calling the 5x2, which means they're doing 5 days on and 2 days off. Some people are doing that as a weekend. Some are doing it like because of their job schedule. They work maybe like Mondays and Thursdays. And so they're taking those days off. And we're going to, based on the symptom surveys, the pre and post detox, we're going to be able to compare results in both cohorts and then combine the values to look and see if there's any remarkable difference between the 5x2 versus the 30-day. So if anybody's interested in signing up for that, there's a place in our website so that people can sign up for that. And I'm offering a discount on my coaching, but be aware that people with gadolinium toxicity are not yet able to do this study. And that's simply because we want to make sure that we're not going to harm people who've been poisoned with gadolinium if we do the 5x2 with them. So we want to firstly see what the comparison is between the two, the 30-day versus the 5x2. And then we'll do a whole nother study based on the gadolinium toxicity. Now, the other thing too is that you have to be in a location like the United States, and there's certain other countries where the supply kit can be purchased, because we don't want to deviate from having everybody doing pretty much the same type of program, using the same supplies and everything. So that's something that I'll be able to determine, because the study link that I'm going to be posting, if it's not there already, is going to be an application, and it will be reviewed by us. And then if you're accepted, you'll get an email saying that you're able to join, and then we can meet and go from there. So
I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze. That's why.
Okay. I hope that answered the question well enough for you. So does anybody else? I think I saw that Anita, you wanted to chime in?
Yes, I'd like to ask you about dental work. I've had a lot of dental work, root canals, implants, and crowns, and I know they've affected my brain really badly. Is this the 30-day detox? I'm hoping that'll change all the dental work I've had. Yeah, what's your opinion about that?
The problem with maintaining any kind of mercury fillings is the fact that they're always going to be off-gassing whenever you're chewing anything or drinking hot liquids and things like that. So what we're dealing with right now is what's already been basically vaporing off, if you will. And so it's not going to be an ideal scene for you to not have those removed. It's going to be better if you can get those removed. The mercury fillings.
I haven't got mercury. I had those
Beautiful.
removed a long time ago.
Beautiful.
But it's the titanium implants I've got. Yeah.
So that's a whole different issue, because some people, and this is relatively new to especially Americans, that the titanium is not pure titanium. It actually has things like nickel. And nickel can be very problematic for a lot of people. They can have allergies to, or even just sensitivities to nickel. And there's what's called a ELISA test that can be done. And I'm going to actually have this as one of the topics for Zoom In with Daniel Root probably next month, because I'm meeting with Dr. Scott Schroeder, who is the expert in what's known as galvanism. And galvanism is something that is very much unknown issue for most doctors. And it's essentially where, when you have multiple metals in the body, titanium being one, gadolinium can be another, but things like steel plates or screws in the body, when you have multiple metals in the body, it can create actual biological batteries and voltages and currents, and they can affect your biological or your biochemical signaling. So the thing is that having the metals could be either an allergy or sensitivity or a galvanism issue. So I would just let you know that if you're feeling like you're having some really weird symptoms that are as much as like tremors and even minor paralysis, but things like even chronic fatigue syndrome, those can be related to galvanism, or the nickel sensitivity. So this is something that we'll be really diving deep into once I get Scott on the video. It'll be a video we record together that I'll be sharing with everybody. But I may even be able to get him to be a guest on this Zoom In with Daniel Root. So that would be an interesting
Yes.
if we can do that.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful. Yeah.
You're welcome. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yep. Hi again.
Hi.
What about plastics in the body? Does the detox help with that?
So we weren't 100% sure that microplastics were something that we can detox. And it's not something that we're able to study simply because we don't have a controlled environment. In fact, you know, the image you see behind me was our center from 2016 to 2019. And I just love the image, but we don't have a working center anymore to do controlled studies. But I would love to be able to test to see if microplastics are something that can be excreted through sweat. I have seen other studies where they have shown that microplastics can be actually eliminated by sweat. So I can only assume that our protocol is going to be something that can actually deal with that. But I don't have any, pure evidence of this. However, we do know that BPAs and phthalates, which are, plastic, chemicals, are able to be detoxed, but these are not necessarily microplastics. So, but it would be great if we could actually do a study to find out. But like I said, I have seen a study where they showed that sweating is a mechanism for plastics. Okay, anybody want to unmute and chime in? Because I do have.
I am curious whether you have evaluated pectin as a binder.
Oh yes, modified citrus pectin. Yeah, in fact, it's a very good binder. In the beginning, I wasn't really 100% sure that it was going to be that effective, but it turns out that it really is. It's not the best binder for a lot of the things that we're doing, but in fact, just to give you an idea of what I'm saying here is that when you're on our program, we recommend at least 5 tablespoons of zeolite throughout the day. So 5 different doses of 1 tablespoon and 8 ounces of water. There you go. In the throughout the day, and that's to keep the GI tract fully coated. And the zeolite that we are really, I can't even show it. The green screen will actually blow it, but it's zeolite pure. And zeolite pure is able to do both the GI tract and go systemic into the blood. So in a way, it acts like a chelator in the blood and a binder in the GI tract. But the reason that I like zeolite so much is because, like I mentioned with the gadolinium, I see a lot of people with gadolinium toxicity from MRIs. The zeolite is the best binder for that. The second thing is that most people don't really connect the dots with the fact that your bile acids are actually the way the liver rejects toxins that it cannot break down into more water-soluble derivatives so that they can be eliminated through your urine. But the bile acids bring those back into the small intestine from the liver, and they're ideally going to get eliminated through the feces. Unfortunately, though, most of these man-made chemicals and some of these heavy metals are actually too lipophilic for the body, so they will reabsorb rapidly before they can be eliminated naturally. By having the zeolite in your GI tract throughout the day on a detox program like this, you're filtering those bile acids. And actually, we have seen some people have resolved non-alcoholic fatty liver disease when they've just used zeolite. So it's rather remarkable that it may be that zeolite is doing more than we even thought. But also, I want you to know I had to write an article about zeolite because there's so much misinformation out there on the internet about the safety of zeolite. People think just because it has some heavy metals in the structure, which are basically honeycomb cells, that came from the natural environment where it was developed, volcanoes really. The thing is that those cannot be released into the system unless the body got heated up to 400 degrees Celsius or 752 degrees Fahrenheit, and you would have bigger problems at that point. So just know that even stomach acid is not going to release toxins back into the system from the zeolite. They're locked into the cages, and zeolite basically goes through the GI tract and out, through your feces and takes those toxins with it. The ones that go systemic are going to come out through the urine. And so it's important to know that zeolite is the best binder for people on our program. And modified citrus pectin is something that is a very valid binder, but simply not as effective for what we're doing.
Okay, I've 3 times through the program now on my
Great.
own, and the first 2 were okay, but in the third one, I started having hot flashes that were separate from the niacin and have continued after I stopped taking the niacin, and it's freaking me out. And the only thing that was different was I got a new batch of zeolite, so I'm like scared to do the next one either without the zeolite or with the zeolite. So that was
Yeah,
why I was asking about the pectin. Do you
have
think
we?
that is like just unrelated, or
Well, this
is
is an
that something
issue.
that you see?
Yeah, this is an issue where it would be more helpful for me to be able to answer the question if I had a health history questionnaire on you. Have we? I just see CR.
Sure.
I don't know if we've ever had a meeting where you filled out a health history.
Yeah, I can email you separately.
Okay, let's do that because it would really help me to have a better understanding of your case. It's really difficult to give protocol advice on these Zoom calls without really knowing more about you.
Understood.
So,
Sounds good. I'll
okay,
reach out.
I look forward to talking with you.
Be
Okay.
a little more specific with the zeolite. I switched in the middle of the last protocol from to the zeolite pure.
Mhm.
And when it shows up, it comes with the tiniest scoop you've ever seen, which it says it's a gram. And so I went back and looked at what you had on detoxination, and it had a recommendation of 1 level teaspoon for 3 grams. And now I hear you talking about a tablespoon, which with the old one, I think I was a tablespoon. I was using the bigger side of the double scoop. So now, just to be clear, we're at a tablespoon now. It does say on the site teaspoon to mention.
Okay.
It does.
I am so glad you brought that up, Greg, because this is something that I met Micah Portney, the owner of Zeolite Pure, a while back, and we're going to do another Zoom call where we're going to be able to record, and actually I'll show that as well. But the thing that he stressed was that in order for him, as the pioneer of zeolite for detoxification, and I'm talking about clinoptilolite zeolite, he told me that he went round and round with the FDA, and they would not allow him to tell people what the true dose should be. And that's why there's a tiny little, I think it's a teaspoon scoop that's included with the product. You know, he wanted to include a scoop, but it's not the dose that he tells me that he recommends. So in his recommendations, it's 3 tablespoons throughout the day of his zeolite. And when you're on our protocol, because of the liberation of toxins at 3 times normal levels, and it's an ongoing process, I recommend 5 tablespoons of his product. So that is a very confusing issue, and I'm so glad you brought it up because the Zeolite Pure does not provide the proper dose. It should be 3 tablespoons per day. He's not allowed to tell you that, but I am. So.
Well, now I know, and you were trying. This is kind of what it looks like for those that
Thank you,
wanted
because
to.
if I do that, I've got the green
It
screen.
goes green. Yeah, well, I'm kind of greening, but yeah.
Okay. Pure.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Zeolite Pure from Zeo Health is the product. And you can find that, by the way, on our Get Detoxinated getdetoxinated.com/support-products, which is also in the shop. You can get to it from the shop. But anyway, the Zeolite Pure is my go-to now because, frankly, I have had some wonderful education from Micah Portney. He's cleared up some misinformation that other brands like the Hyaltrophin, which I still recommend, but I think Zeolite Pure is a better product. There you go. The thing about the Hyaltrophin, it has a label that says do not use metal spoons or metal utensils. And I've seen that in other places. Well, I talked with Micah and he explained that that's not true, that the zeolite or the metal does not affect the zeolite, the charge, because it comes negatively charged and it picks up positively charged toxins. He told me, though, that he uses a metal spoon and never had a problem with it. So you can basically discard the scoop that it comes with and just use a regular tablespoon. That's going to be the best way to do it. So when you're not on the protocol, 3 times a day, 1 tablespoon. When you're on the protocol, 5 times a day. All right. That was a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So three
Yeah.
times a day if you're not, 3 tablespoons a day if you're not on the protocol.
Yeah, typically when I say this, by the way, I'm talking about for people who are in between programs, because as I've noted in many different videos, and I'll do it again here, our protocol has been shown in at least 15 studies to reduce the body burden by about 1/3 on average. Therefore, many people in this day and age especially are going to need to do the protocol more than once. So when you're off the protocol, in between protocols, 3 times a day. Okay. How are we doing on time here? Good.
No, I didn't quite catch that because my brain's a bit funny. But when you're on the protocol 5 times a day,
Mhm.
5 tablespoons. That's quite a lot. 5 tablespoons.
It may seem like a lot, but it's it's not.
It's not. Okay.
And
got
then
that.
3 times a day when you're in between programs would be the recommended.
Right. 3 times in between. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is that why you're off program, considering you're only going to be off 2 weeks, or if you're off 2 months, still do it
I would still do
every day?
it. I would
Okay.
still do it. The reality is that no matter how hard we try, we're getting more toxins every day.
And I would guess when you're off program, you would recommend doing the zeolite and continue in sauna rather than working any chelation like an ACC in between
It kind of
for
depends
what's
on
in the blood.
yeah, it kind of depends on the toxicity levels. There's a good reason for chelation. There's a good reason for ALA, but in my opinion, you don't need either one of those if you're doing our program.
Gotcha.
I have another question. One of your latest podcasts, you said that people with gadolinium toxicity would need to take magnesium and D3K2 with MCT oil because we're actually not absorbing it. Is that how? That's what I understood.
Calcium. It was calcium, but we have a CalMag beverage that is calcium and magnesium. Those two work together for both the muscles to prevent muscle spasms, twitching, or cramps, and also for the bone. Most people just hear calcium for the bone, but actually magnesium is needed as well. And so the CalMag beverage, which uses apple cider vinegar to reduce the pH of the calcium, allows the calcium and magnesium to be more bioavailable. Now, with gadolinium toxicity, gadolinium is a calcium channel blocker. And so we need to allow or give the body a better chance to actually absorb calcium and then direct it to the bone. The vitamin D3 is going to make the body able to more easily utilize the calcium. And then the K2 is going to direct it to the bone. And it's important for especially lead and gadolinium because those are both storing in bone.
Okay, but what about it has to be with MCT oil? You did
That's
mention
a
MCT
carrier.
oil
Yes.
along with the.
This is an older version of the product that is on our support products page. It's the D3K2. I'm trying to get the camera to pick up that part, but it's in an MCT oil base. The current label that's on this product is black now, with I think a silver lighting or silver writing. But anyway, this is what will help the body to get the D3 and K2 where it needs to go to help with the calcium.
Okay. All right. So you can get those in your website.
Yes. In fact, there's a wonderful lady that I worked with who had 32 gadolinium injections. I'm allowed to use her name, and in fact, I will because I think it's important to give Marcia credit for the fact that she helped me to better serve gadolinium toxic patients because of the fact that she knows a lot more as a nurse about how the body utilizes calcium and the fact that gadolinium is a calcium channel blocker. So Marcia Sabal is the one that is the person that really should get credit for that advice. And also for gadolinium toxicity, I recommend the turmeric or ginger root tea for natural anti-inflammatory.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any other questions? Because I have a bunch of people had emailed me. So In fact, Anita, I've got yours here at the top of the list, so we've already covered that. I have Catherine has indicated that she thought she was a healthy person going through this detox the first time, but she came out tired most of the time, her body wanting to sleep a lot, and it's still ongoing. And literally, this is something that should be, people need to be aware that your body is going to go through a much heightened state of sympathetic mode throughout the process. So it can take a while for the body to return to homeostasis. But what I'm sensing here with her is that one was not enough. She needs to do another round, and that's because we know the studies show that the body burden reductions are about a third. So definitely she should be going through this again. And no, you're not the only one, Catherine. So another question from I think it's pronounced Gian. Says he's a newbie with MTHFR, so he's got one of the gene polymorphisms, and he would like to have any information on that. So the MTHFR gene polymorphisms are really more going to affect people's ability to detox normal toxins. And when I say normal toxins, I'm not talking about heavy metals and man-made chemicals. Many of you probably heard me say the definition of a toxin, which is the Oxford Dictionary version, says a toxin is an antigenic poison or venom of plant or animal origin, one produced by or derived from microorganisms and causing disease when present at low concentrations in the body. So there's nothing really about toxins that has anything to do with heavy metals and man-made chemicals, although we use that word interchangeably. So MTHFR gene polymorphisms can affect the body's ability to deal with normal toxins, but we are dealing with toxins that are man-made, or they're things like gadolinium that should not be in the body. So those are toxicants. And once they enter the body, they become foreign substances or xenobiotics. And that's why you hear me say lipophilic xenobiotics quite often. And then again, I prefer to use the word toxin because it's actually much easier to say. But the point here is that with the MTHFR gene polymorphisms, we don't even care with this protocol. We support MTHFR with this program in a number of ways. The bigger issue is going to be for people who are under methylators. So if the body is, if you have problems, for example, with taking regular B vitamins, that is something that is pretty common with undermethylators. So we would just want to make sure you're doing a methylated form of the B vitamins. So that's well accounted for. We've worked with many people with MTHFR, never had a problem. But one of the main reasons why is because we use a lecithin for its emulsification properties, its ability to break down oils, for example, but it's also a primary source of choline. And choline is going to be the offset to niacin, which is known to be a methyl group sponge. So choline is a methyl group donor. And that's one of the ways we support MTHFR. So this person, Michael, has asked if safety goggles are required for IRA waves, which are near infrared waves, for those who don't know what IR-A is. So basically, the infrared waves in the near infrared spectrum, there's a recommendation for goggles, protective eye gear, especially when there's a 700 to 1400 nanometer range of the near infrared, then that can be very offensive to the eyes. It can actually cause retinal photochemical damage, thermal lens damage, macular stress, things like that. So it's a good idea to have goggles with near infrared, especially when you have a DIY sauna that uses heat lamps. So that was the answer to that question. And please feel free to interrupt if you have any questions you'd like to throw out there. I'm just going through because I have several of these that people have emailed. There's a Logan Walker who's asked about mycotoxins. So mold mycotoxins are fat soluble, and these will get detoxed with our protocol. The trick here is to make sure that you don't have spores, the mold spores still thriving in your body, or you're no longer in the environment that had mold. But definitely we have been detoxing mycotoxins and other biotoxins for many, many years. So does anybody else have any questions you'd like to ask? We're at what, 12:52?
I'll show you one last one with mold. You sent a nice binder list out, was very helpful. Interos gel,
Oh,
you
yeah.
recommend for mycotoxins.
Right.
When I looked at that list, it looked like other binders were just as good as that. I had the impression that Interos gel was the premier for mycotoxins from listening to you. So did I misunderstand or?
So there are different types of mycotoxins that are in people with mold toxicity. Some binders have better affinities for these different strains. Just know that Enteros gel is a really effective one for mycotoxins, but it's also when people have toxin overloads, they tend to have leaky gut, and the gut has been compromised mostly, especially by the glyphosate. So Enteros gel handles the gut issues as well as the mycotoxins. So that's why I really push it. But it's a case of, there are other ones. And in fact, if you want to get a prescription from your doctor, which I kind of am against, is cholestyramine. The reason I say it that way is because I prefer to support bile acids rather than sequester them. And that's what cholestyramine does, is it sequesters bile acids and basically forces them to go out with feces. And if you can filter them with the zeolite, it's much better. But anyway, cholestyramine is definitely one of the best ways to deal with mycotoxins. But again, it's going to basically reduce your bile acids, requiring your liver to produce more. So.
Well, if anybody else is thinking about doing it, was going to do it with my last protocol, but it was 2 to 4 weeks on Amazon. So you got to give yourself enough lead time to get it, which I didn't.
Yeah, it's coming from Russia, and that's an issue. It used to be a bigger problem because they would sometimes transport it in refrigerated, trucks. And Enteros gel should not be refrigerated. It will go from a gel form to a water form, and that's basically a destroyed product. So I can see that taking that kind of time frame in this day and age is not surprising. But thanks for that, Greg. All right, Anita, did I see you have another question?
Oh, I was going to email it because it's a bit embarrassing. What if you get diarrhea on this whole thing?
No, that's a valid question. So the typical reason for that is maybe at the time you've increased the vitamin C. If you're following along with the dosing of vitamin C per stage, then it's possible that increase took you over the top of your bowel tolerance. So that's one reason. The other reason may be that the magnesium is causing the problem, but there are definitely toxins that are going to be able to cause diarrhea. So I'm glad you brought that up because I can talk with you offline about that more since we're working together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the website that we can find you is to get the consultation with you and to see the products you have is getdetoxinated.com.
Yes, you can go there to find where to book. My website is not yet able to do the booking itself, so I have to use a service called heal.me/detox.
Yeah,
but
I got the getdetoxinated.com where I signed for the Zoom, but I want to go to your website and check the meeting and read everything too.
Yeah,
so that will be the best. Getdetoxinated.com and then find the other one that you say.
Yeah,
Okay.
in fact, I'm going to put this in the chat for you, but it'll be in the description of the video once we post this online. So this is the actual link in the chat to actually book the time. So it's heal.me/detox.
Okay, thanks. I got it here.
Great. I'm actually working on getting our website to be able to do the bookings internally so that I don't have to pay this other service, because that does get confusing, but they've been, my go-to for a while. So. All right. Any other questions, or you guys want to go ahead and wrap up for today? We've been here almost an hour.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful. I just want to ask, instead of writing on the gadolinium group, have you been with any of those people that are on that group that they guide me to your name, and I think you were there. You are there.
I'm in the big one, the MRI gadolinium research toxicity group. I think it's got a huge name. Yeah. The one that Debbie Heiss-Lambert have been in. Yes. And many people who are in that group are also in my group. And so I do work, you see me posting in their group as well. But Essentially, my group is where people come to and I can work with them directly. And, it's important for me to stress one thing about my Facebook group. It is not a place to ask specific questions about the protocol when you're on the protocol. This is an informational page, Facebook group. And it was meant to be a place for people to come learn more about detoxination and sauna detoxification using niacin, which I should also clarify. Sauna detoxification using niacin is an umbrella term for programs that use sauna and niacin, like our firefighter version. But the thing is that detoxination is the full protocol, which is definitely showing to be one of the best ways to get gadolinium out of the body. So I work with a lot of people there. I also, by the way, have a private group for people who are my clients. And maybe I should just quickly pop that up on the screen since I got it loaded here.
We have work with people from there, from the gadolinium group.
Absolutely, yes. So this is the Detoxination Clients Circle for any of the people I'm working with as clients and any detoxinicians in training. So for those who are watching this, it's a very private group. It's VIP circle. So if you've engaged my coaching services or you're a detoxinician in training or a detoxinician, the group here is where specific questions of detoxination can be asked. So this is something I wanted to make sure people were aware of. But go ahead and stop that share. So yes, people in the gadolinium group that have joined my group or have been talking with me, through the messenger, I've been working with a lot of people, and it's actually since 2019 we've been working with gadolinium.
That's great. That's great, because it's always good to know that they used it, it worked, how it went. I know all bodies are different and will react differently, but it's also good to know, yeah, there's a hope for this. It worked. You know what I mean, right? I'm going to do the effort to make it worse, but at least I'm going to try something.
Yeah, like I said, I always recommend people with gadolinium toxicity work directly with me, because I know now what is important for people with gadolinium, and then you have Cipro on top of that. So that adds another layer of complexity, and we can help you though.
What's the link to the Facebook group about recovering from gadolinium, please?
Well, the Facebook group itself is the same as the book, Sauna Detoxification Using Niacin. If that's showing up at all. Sauna Detoxification Using Niacin. If you look that up on Facebook, you'll find the group. And I invite everybody to join that group, but just remember that we will not be answering specific questions for people who are going through the program. There's a few reasons why. I need to know health history. I need to be able to actually have a better understanding of the case to give better advice. And we don't want people to pick up information and run with it if they've not actually spoken with me and had a consult. And then there's another reason why I have paid clients, and in respect for the fact that they paid for my services, I don't give free advice on that group.
Fair enough.
Okay, so it looks like we're not at 102. I think what a great premiere show of the reboot of Zoom In with Daniel Root, and I really appreciate the size audience that we've seen today. I think we got a lot of good questions, and I think a lot of great information. So again, thank you for joining me, and maybe we'll see you next show, which is in 2 weeks. So every other week now, it looks like, first and third Tuesdays of the month. So look forward to seeing you guys if you can make it. But thanks again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
See you, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Daniel. Yeah.
Really good. Thank you.
Bye.